One of the things in the evolution of psychology that I found really interesting is this kind of process where we discover things, but then we haven't made the connection for it to be utilized in mainstream. I mean, in the 1970s, we had a Dr. Eugene Gendlin that got a bunch of psychotherapists together at the University of Chicago, and he asked a really, really great question. He asked a question: why does psychotherapy not work when it doesn't work? Just such an amazing question. And in their qualitative data, they began listening to a lot of different sessions. They began noticing that there was a characteristic that clients that tended to get better in psychotherapy had, that clients that did not tend to get better in psychotherapy did not have. They then asked an even better question, which was, can we teach people how to have this characteristic? And will that then predict individuals getting better in psychotherapy? And the answer was yes. So what was the quality, right? What was the characteristic? The characteristic was this: whatever an individual or client's story of suffering was, their ability to get in touch with the felt sense of the body, whether they had that ability or not, what was in the way of that, was there disassociation that had to be assessed for, and their ability to do that predicted individuals getting better. And so there was an entire modality in the 1970s called focusing that was very much a somatic processing. I mean, we didn't call it somatic processing back then. There's a book, Focusing, that, my opinion, every processing therapist should probably have in their arsenal in their library. And we've come out with so many other modalities. When we talk about the triad of change, which is focus, language, and structure, we're using this to help people get unstuck, to create energy flow. That if you're stuck in one of these three, if you can creatively create movement in the other two, you will get movement in that one. And there's so many ways now, whether we're talking about, EMDR, where we're using bilateral stimulation in order to, help downregulate a dysregulation of the way memory or the body or the autonomic nervous system is holding something. Emotional freedom technique, acupressure, where the theory is we're inputting a piezoelectric signal into the structure while we're focusing on, the language of something. Also, again, using the triad of change. Somatic experiencing, somatorespiratory integration, trauma releasing exercises, trauma informed yoga, techniques like Sedona method. There are. I'm not even hitting the tip of the iceberg now, because there are so many new ways, because we're dealing with an advanced human abstract functioning and an advanced imagination. How many ways can you approach the mind in order to get the mind out of the way so the body can do what it normally knows how to do? What we're beginning to realize in the data is that so much is nervous system based. So much is, consciousness based, how we're using the consciousness on a daily basis, how we're conditioning that we've learned that we can literally physically do brain surgery, like increases and decreases of certain aspects of brain tissue based off of the way that we focus our attention on a daily basis. You can look at, the thickness of certain aspects of brain tissue in long-term meditators. We're learning there's so many different ways to meditate also, whether we're talking about quantum jumping, quantum meditation, whether we're using mantra meditation to bring down the mind and to basically, learn the value of silence, where we're not addicted to a story. We're coming out of a default mode network of brain activity and more into an experiential. We can still use that default mode network for imagining everything in the world, but at the same time, learning that the two-edged sword nature of that, where not only can it help us imagine things, it can also put us into an abstract world of suffering that isn't real as well. And so learning the mechanism and the skill of being able to come out of that and developing that muscle also. So mental health becomes a process of learning the skills of process, of learning how your perception controls your experience of your reality. It's an amazing time to be alive right now. I mean, it really is. I mean, like for every one thing that I think that I know, it points to like 99 other things or 99,000 other things I haven't even heard about or don't necessarily even understand yet. Even though I have great success with the clients with the modalities that I use, you have to keep digesting and you have to keep, absorbing, because the techniques and the evolution of psychology, it keeps going. It's kind of like the way data is expanding in the computer world and digital world at the moment. Techniques that I used for a certain consciousness 10 years ago with a client, I've got faster ways now, or it's outdated, or I understand the reason why that didn't work, or what are the scenarios, like assessing for dissociation when we're talking about mindfulness, or assessing it before you get in touch with the felt sense. You've got to be able to do some processing to help the person get back in touch. Understanding how we compartmentalize things in such a way that we're often at war with ourselves, and that it's really easy to manifest the life that you want if you can figure out how to negotiate all those parts and get every rower in your rowboat rowing in the same direction. It changes everything. And although this is our relationship with ourselves, it mirrors the way that we should be looking at relationships with our significant others, our family, our friends, and maybe even the world, where we begin looking at the identity of the whole, not all of the different parts that are arguing with ourselves. So again, it's just a great time to be alive.